Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
Not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Welcome back to another episode of Logged It, episode number 62. We got a fun one for you tonight. We're talking about comic book villains because, you know, Halloween is a time of spooky things and evil people, and I like comic book movies, so I merged the two like an asshole. We got a full panel here for you tonight. Payson, welcome back. You were here last week, I believe, right?
Yes, I was.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. This always brings a light to my week, and I'm excited.
Beautiful. Jesus Christ, my dog just almost murdered a woman. Boatman, you're here as always. How are you doing, sir?
Cujo, 1983.
Horror villains. That was last week. Okay, anyway.
No, I'm doing good. Doing good. Feeling good. You know, I'm glad Payson's here because like that's another like normie comic book movie fan, and then you have like Scully here. No, Scully, don't roll your eyes. You are like you're literally were a fandom champion at one point, so it's a little different than Payson and I are like normies.
We're also a fandom champion. Thomas Scully is here. I was excited you signed up for the show. It's been a minute since you've been on. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I've been here for 5 minutes and I'm already getting shot in the face. I mean, Jesus Christ.
It was a compliment.
This should be fun. Logged It, I like the structure of the show. We get to talk about a lot of different neat things. And comic book villains. I think these are the villains who I think walk that fine line between like cartoonish but also very sort of grounded in reality sometimes. So I think it's an interesting conversation with our picks tonight.
Yeah, it's fair. And Brandon Cohen is on the show. Brandon, first time on the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm on a one-day streak of one of my students not punching each other in the face. So that's, you know, it's always got a good streak going. I'm excited to be here, just talk about movies and don't have to worry about losing because I've been doing that a lot lately. So just talking shit with the boys. So I'm here for it.
That's fair. That's fair. We got a great panel here. We got a great show ahead of us. So let's get into it. Starting off, I do want to say Kaleb Koho has been upping his thumbnail game as of late with Logged It. Like, look at this beautiful thumbnail. But does the man know things other than the MCU and Batman? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he does.
Got Green Goblin in there.
Yeah, I guess you could say, yeah, fair.
I guess now it is MCU.
You put the Riddler on there, like what an asshole.
So Tim, you're saying the Green Goblin is part of the MCU. Is No Way Home now? Are all the? I'm sorry.
Stop it. Okay, let's get into it. We're gonna start the show the way that we do every week, which is talk about our favorite movie that we logged this week, our favorite movie that we watched. Payson, I want you to kick us off. What's your favorite movie you logged this week?
Yeah, my favorite movie I logged, it was a rewatch that I watched today. I watched it for trivia, but I really enjoyed this movie. It's That Thing You Do. This movie is so damn charming. Like, that is the best way to describe this movie. It's set in the 60s. It's about a band called The Wonders, or the Oneaters, as some people think they're called. And it's just about how they sort of form themselves over this one hit song called That Thing You Do. And you essentially just see their like short rise to becoming like this one hit wonder. This is Tom Hanks' directorial debut. He has a small role as the band's manager. He's really fun. Steve Zahn is hands down my favorite part of this movie. Lenny is just such like a dorky dweeb, as opposed to Tom Everett Scott's, and I cannot remember the guy who played Jimmy, like their little like rivalry. I just think this is a really sweet movie. You just see them like going from city to city, like performing. There's a romance subplot which bothered me a little more the first watch. This time it's just there. Like, it's not my favorite part, but like it's fine. No, this is just honestly just like a pure vibes movie that just makes me feel like happy, and I'm really happy I was able to watch it today.
I'm gonna disappoint some people. I've never seen this one. I've been told that I would love it. That it's right up my alley. Just good vibes, music-based comedy. Tom Hanks directing. Like, yeah, this sounds like something that I would love. Just haven't gotten there yet. Boatman, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, this movie is absolutely my kind of movie. Like, it's like, hey, Kaleb Boatman, do you like 60s aesthetics? Do you like one-hit wonders? Do you like Steve Zahn? Yes to all of these. Like, this movie's like legit just one of like the most like upbeat movie, pun not really intended but now intended in hindsight, upbeat movies that you can watch. I like it so much. Very fun.
Brandon, have you seen this one?
I love this movie. Everyone has like that movie with their group of friends. This was my like college friends get drunk, watch this movie over and over again movie for some reason. Like, we wanted to be Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters so badly, and just loving this movie, loving the music. It's just like, yeah, Steve Zahn is the best part of this movie. It's just, I love showing this movie, and anytime anyone says, "Oh, it was a good movie," but the song got so annoying, I just immediately write them out of my life.
Should have won the Oscar.
Scully, what do you think?
I've seen scenes from it, and the scenes that I've seen, I've enjoyed, so I'll have to watch it in its entirety at some point.
Okay, great. Let's move over to Boatman. Boatman, what was your favorite movie that you logged this week?
Yeah, fair warning, I'm not going to talk about my pick very long because I don't want to, because I think this is a movie that I think everyone should watch. Going Blind. This is a movie called Diabolique. From 1955. It is a French horror movie. It's like a psychological horror, and it's super well done. Like, if you know me, I'm not like a big horror guy, and this movie isn't like horror. It's kind of, I guess, kind of on the same lines of like a Psycho, where it's like horror, but it's not like hardcore horror. And it's so well done. I don't want to give too much away because the way this movie goes in certain directions, I did not see coming whatsoever. So I highly recommend it. Going as blind as possible.
Took me that long to find out how to spell that. Yeah, sounds interesting. Never heard of it, but when the pitch to your movie is go in as blind as possible, that usually piques my interest. Brandon, have you ever seen this?
I haven't seen it, but it's been on my. I saw it on some list on Letterboxd of like movies you have to watch. So it's been on my list for forever now. But now it got bumped up to the top because of this. So I'll definitely check it out. And yeah, I agree. Like, anytime anyone goes like, "Don't watch the trailer, don't watch anything about it," it usually means the movie's gonna kick ass. So yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Scully.
Well, it's a French horror film from 1955, so yeah, no.
That'd be fair. You got to laugh out of the macaw on that one, Scully. Payson.
I've heard great things about this, but I have not seen it.
Okay. All right. Let's move over to Brandon. Go ahead. What's your favorite movie you logged this week?
So I watched a few movies this week. It was good. It was between either a first watch or a rewatch. And I'm gonna go with the rewatch. So I rewatched Mean Streets yesterday.
Man of my own heart.
Yeah, I did it for a debate, but I anytime I get a chance to watch this movie, I love this movie. It's just peak, even though it's early. I mean, really early first. But for me, it's just like peak Scorsese. Like, it has all the hits right off the bat. It has the pop music in it. It has the scene where Robert De Niro is standing on top of the pool table, swinging it, and the camera swinging around with it. It has the tracking shots. It has everything you want in a movie, and it's so different than his other ones because it's a great coming of age story. Robert De Niro's great in it. Just full on, just amazing cast, and just yeah, everyone's seen this movie, so it's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, I love this movie. This is it's mid-tier Scorsese for me, but he's also my favorite director, and I love most of his films. I think this is his third film or something like that. And when you look at like his Who's That Knocking at My Door and then Bertha, like Who's That Knocking is like decent, Boxcar's pretty terrible, but then he just kind of like comes out of the gate with this. And a lot of the reviews I'm reading on the Letterboxd for people in the community are pretty mid-tier. I love this movie. I think it's really good. I think De Niro is really, really great in it. I think Keitel is really awesome in this movie. Like, I remember watching it for the first time when I like first did like my full Scorsese watch and really, really enjoying it. It's been quite a long time, but anytime I get a young Robert De Niro like acting in anything, like I'm there for it. Like I don't fucking care. Like the dude is just like so electric and everything.
It's so different from what he usually does. Like,
yeah. It's just a great movie, and I do recommend it as well. Scully, have you seen this one?
No, but I probably will at some point. I'm trying to watch more Scorsese. And this is probably one of the first ones I watch when I go through his entire filmography. So I'm excited to watch it.
Payson.
One of my all-time favorite character introduction moments is Johnny Boy walking into the bar, covered in just red light, with the Rolling Stones' Jumpin' Jack Flash playing. I really, really enjoy this movie. I agree with you. It is kind of mid-tier Scorsese, but like mid-tier for me is still like a 4-star movie from him. Yeah, De Niro's a baby in this movie. He looks really he's got a nice soft face. But yeah, I do think this is a really good movie.
And what about you, Boatman?
This might surprise some people, but this is like one of my bigger blind spots. I still have not seen this one.
That's fair. All right. Scully, let's go to you.
Well, I'm gonna take out everything I did I'm gonna start doing this by taking out everything I did for trivia. And I'm also gonna go back further than a week because my life is sad. So we're gonna go back to Gladiator, which I watched a couple weeks ago. One of my favorite movies of all time. Nice, fun group watch that I turned this dude around on his opinion of it. So you're welcome, America. He has better taste now. But yeah, one of my favorite movies ever. Nothing much else to say about it that I've already said. All the performances are fantastic. I think Joaquin Phoenix is better than Russell Crowe personally. I would gladly switch the two out for Oscars in that year. And yeah, banger moments, great battle scenes, and tons of amazing monologues. So yeah.
Yeah, great fucking movie, as Mike Hanley would say. I like this one more every time I watch it. This was one that I saw for the first time like in high school, and then again I watched it with Maggie like right around the time we started dating, a couple first years, and then I watched it again this year. I did a full Ridley Scott watch, and in the context of his filmography, it hits at like the perfect moment, and it's really, really great. And I think I gave it kind of a higher score because of that. I don't love 5 out of 5. Think this is the greatest thing ever movie, but it's really good. And I actually messaged Scully when I was watching it because I asked him like, hey, I've seen this movie like twice, but it's been a long time. Theatrical cut, director's cut, like what do I do? And he's like, theatrical, do it. And I said, okay, great. But next time I am going to watch the director's cut to get a little bit more of that flavor, because the action in the movie is fantastic. All the performances are great. I agree. I like Joaquin Phoenix the best in the movie. I think he's fantastic. But there's just something about it that's never like hit me like 5 out of 5 type of way. But like I said, each time I've watched it, it's gotten better. So we'll see. Maybe next time will be the time that it just really hits me. Maybe I got to watch it with Scully. I don't know. Payson, what do you think?
Yeah, I was also in that B&B watch with Boatman and Scully, and yeah, I think this movie is excellent. It has like that epic feel to it. It really is just sort of like a universal story of just a hero just rising up. I think Joaquin Phoenix is incredible in this movie. He's like hitting just the fine line of almost going over the top, but not quite going there that it ruins the movie. My two favorite things about this watch was when the score kicked in, and I said, "Man, this sounds a little bit like the Pirates of the Caribbean score." And just watching Koho's just hair rise up because he's like, "It doesn't sound anything like that." So like that was fun. And then the final death scene, just watching Scully like enact the final death scene.
We don't need to tell them about that.
It was really funny.
We don't need to tell them about that.
No, this is a really, really good movie.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I won't pontificate anymore on the experience of watching this movie with people, but I like this movie more this time around. I used to be kind of not big on this movie. It wasn't like a dislike. It was like a 3. It went from a 3-star to a 3.5 star. So Scully, but still, this is a good movie. Yeah, I like it.
Are dogs barking at each other?
They're having their own show.
Okay. Brandon, do you like this movie?
I do like this movie. This is one of those movies that's like, I saw it around when it first came out, then didn't see it for years, and then saw it again. I was like, well, this movie's great, and then didn't see it for years, and then like I keep going back to it, and it's fantastic. It's just super long, so like I always have trouble finding time to watch this movie, but every time I watch it, it's like this movie is just so badass, so huge, so awesome, and I'm gonna have to watch it for something we have coming up in a little bit. I have to look at it in a different little light, kind of find some, if I can poke some holes in it, we'll see. So I'm excited to watch it again coming up, and yeah, the movie's badass.
Fair. All right. I will go next. I watched for the first time Beverly Hills Cop, and I really, really liked it. I really liked this movie. It is now in FANDOM Fights starting in 2023, which is why I watched it. And I really dug it. I didn't know what to expect. Cody had told me that like it didn't quite live up to the hype, but that it was still good or whatever. I thought it was really, really funny, really great. The emotional beats, I thought were really, really well earned. Like, I thought it towed that line of like the comedy and the emotional drama parts of the movie really well. Like, I was expecting just off the walls goofball, crazy comedy the whole time, and it had a lot of heart to it. I really liked Judge Reinhold in this movie. Like, I thought he was fantastic. Eddie Murphy obviously is like the bread and butter here, but all culminating in like this awesome like shootout sequence at the end of the movie that was really, really fucking good. Like, I got really attached to the characters and just the movie as a whole. I really dug. This is going to be one that I go back to because I really liked it. And I watched all 3 of them, and honestly, I didn't hate any of them. The third one's definitely the worst. But I just really like this character of Axel. So, yeah, big fan of this. I was surprised at how much I liked it. Payson, have you seen this?
This is a personal weird blind spot for me, but earlier before we started the stream, you yelled at me, sign up for FANDOM, so maybe I'll be watching this.
That's fair. Boatman.
Yeah, this movie is like I think I described this movie in my Letterboxd review as like just a really good burger and fries. Like, it's not anything particularly fancy, but like it's a really good burger and fries. Like, it's exactly what it is, but I like what it is. Like, it's a very simple action comedy with an incredibly likable lead character at its forefront. And I think that's all it needs to be.
Yeah. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I've seen this. It's one of those movies that I've seen this so long ago. This is the Banana in the Tailpipe movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely stuff that sticks with me. I always loved Judge Reinhold. I don't know why, but every time I see that guy in the movie, I'm like, I love this guy. I don't know why he's, where he went. Did he die? I don't know if he died.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea. But he just disappeared. But yeah, this is. I think I'm gonna do a rewatch. I've never seen any of the sequels, so maybe I'll do a Beverly Hills Cop day and just watch them all. But yeah.
They're all short too. They're all hour
That's the
45.
beauty of it, yeah.
All like it's a really quick, like clean trilogy watch. Yeah.
Yeah, all these Eddie Murphy comedies are just like easy. Like I love getting through them. Yeah.
Scully, have you seen this?
Saw it back in high school. I couldn't tell you much about it, but I remember liking it. So I'm definitely gonna rewatch it.
Okay. Great. Let's move on to the next part of the show, which is our least favorite movie that we logged this week. And Payson, you're going to kick us off.
Yeah, this is another one I did for trivia. It was another rewatch. Look, we all love the Muppets. The Muppets
are what?
We all love the Muppets. The Muppets are really, really fun. The idea of taking Muppet-like creatures and added a bunch of swear words and sex things to it might sound funny to some, but the thing is, you got to do more than that. And that is what the Happy Time Murders does not do. Yeah, I had to rewatch this movie again. It's not horrible, per se, but it's really just nothing special. I think the first, 20, 30 minutes is kind of funny. Like, I weirdly kind of enjoy it when it's just trying to be, a regular cop movie. But I just think every time it tries to go too obscene and too, out of control is where I was like, guys, we're trying too hard. Yeah, like Spence said, the puppet cow porn scene where they go to the porn shop and there's just an octopus just jerking off the cow's udders. Obviously, the sex scene in the trailer. It just reeks of, we're trying to go as obscene as we can, and it really just doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, I saw this in the theater. I haven't seen it since. This was one of the first movies that Maggie and I saw together after we got married. We got married, and then this came out the next weekend, and we did a double feature of this and Mission Impossible Fallout. So there was definitely a clear winner there. But yeah, I love the Muppets, and I love just that anytime there's a movie with puppets in it, I'm there. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of my favorite comedies for a reason. You got puppets in it, I'm there. This isn't. Which one?
Meet the Feebles.
No, not that. Though. Okay. Sorry, Peter Jackson. I love you, baby, but no. Yeah. So this again, I'm not going to defend it. It's not good. I don't remember shit about it. You're talking about puppet cow porn. Nope, doesn't ring any bells to me. I remember that I sat there. It was 90 minutes, and I laughed a few times, and that was it. I will probably never watch it again unless it's $2 and I buy the Blu-ray. Because then I own the film Blacklight. Okay, I have bigger problems than the Happy Time Murders. So it's what it is. Boatman, have you seen this?
No, but this movie's basically teenage edgelord humor, right? It's the puppets, they're having sex. Isn't that funny?
It's yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. Brandon, have you seen this one?
Yeah, I haven't thought about this movie. It's like Tim said, it's I saw it in the theater, and then as soon as I walked out of the theater, it was just gone from my brain. It was just such a nothing movie. And it could have been I'm all for raunchy puppets and raunchy like Team America did it and things. It's maybe if they either one just kind of pull a BoJack where they just don't kind of mention that they're puppets and just do this weird world where they kind of coexist and just leave it at that. That might be more fun, or just lean into it all the way. But they tried so hard, and there was again some laughing moments. I can't even think about anything because this movie's just completely gone from my brain. And then after we're done talking about this, it'll probably be back into the ether.
Scully?
Nope, but it has one of the most unhinged trailers of all time, and I find myself watching that trailer a lot more often than I care to admit.
What was the trailer? What was in the trailer that was so?
The trailer had the big boning scene.
It's that, but it's also the ecstasy scene where she snorts it, dies, and then comes back to life.
Oh, I don't remember any of that.
I don't remember that happening.
Wow.
Good to know
Okay.
that we
Maybe I'll have to.
repeatedly watch his puppet sex.
I'll have to go back and watch the trailer because I don't remember any of that. But all right, Boatman, let's go to you. What's your least favorite movie log this week?
Oh yeah, I want to preface this by saying this is like a 2.5, so it's not like a bad movie or anything. But I finally caught up to Multiverse of Madness, and I was on it. It was actually weird watching this movie. For every great scene, there was a terrible scene. Like, it was pretty consistently back and forth. This scene sucks. This scene's awesome. Sucks. Awesome. Sucks. Awesome. Like, it was... I don't know if I've ever seen a movie just consistently do something terrible and do something awesome and just constantly cancel itself out. Yeah, there's some really good things in here. I tried to take my feelings out of WandaVision out of it, because I did really like WandaVision. I know it kind of changes a lot of elements of WandaVision, so I just tried to take myself out of it. And even then, there's so much here that I really like, and so much here that I think just a lot of stupid decisions, and it was amazing how like 50-50 this movie was. And I don't think it was like, oh, everything Raimi did was great and everything Feige did was terrible, or vice versa. It was weirdly like the stuff that felt very Raimi and the stuff that felt very MCU. It was like both 50-50 on that front too. So it was just very interesting.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this one. I really liked it when I first saw it, but I think I was lying to myself a little bit. Like, I still enjoy the movie on the whole, but there are definitely parts about it that I don't love. The stuff that works in this movie, I love. The fact that, like, I said it in my review on Letterboxd, but there's a moment towards the beginning when he's at the wedding and he jumps off of the like balcony and like throws the cape on, and it's just like it felt like the Raimi Spider-Man movies when the hero would just like suit up and like jump into action, like just like it felt very comic booky, and I loved that part of it. I don't love where the story necessarily the story they were telling I wasn't like super about, but I like the characters enough to like get me through it. I really like the Souls of the Damned stuff, like that, like Army of Darkness, like style, like bullshit, like I fucking love. That being said, I think the whole finale after it's like he's like harnessing them and like makes them into wings and everything and then flies over there. Everything from there on is kind of bullshit. Like there's no like, again, like She-Hulk just criticized this, and I didn't love She-Hulk either, but like they just did the whole criticism of like, oh, the finale of the movie is always like big action thing. That wasn't really here in this movie. Like he shows up and he traps her a little bit, and then she gets shown her kids and she cries, and then the movie kind of ends. Like there's not like that final battle that I really wanted to see, like Doctor Strange like versus Wanda, and it like didn't really happen. And I've always been kind of disappointed about that. But I think from a visual standpoint, like the visuals in this movie are awesome. We're full spoilers, like who gives a fuck at this point? Like if you haven't seen this movie, like you're probably not gonna, but like you've seen it, Brandon. What are you doing? The Illuminati is fucking stupid. The fight scene with the Illuminati, great. Really love that scene. The fact that they're in the movie and they chose who they chose is fucking stupid. John Krasinski is phoning in that performance 100%. I thought he's bad, but like, yeah, the fight scene itself, the shock factor of it the first time was dope as hell. But upon repeat viewings, it doesn't work as well. So I agree with Boatman. It is a mixed bag, but I'm slightly more on the positive side than the negative side. Also, everyone shits on the music battle. I think it's fucking cool.
No, that was one of the good things.
I loved that scene. And everyone Maggie hated it. She thought it was so stupid. And I think it's awesome. Brandon, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I like my Doctor Strange weird and trippy. So the more they lean into that shit makes me happy. So yeah, I'm super 50-50 on this movie. I was like so like I remember watching this movie and near the end I whispered to my brother like I think this movie's bad and like being so upset about it. Just like there's so much I like about it. I love the Wanda stuff. I love some of the horror elements. I hate that it's called the Multiverse of Madness and you see like two different universes, maybe three. Like give us more of that. Give us more of the weird shit, the time hopping. Give us just a trippy. Like make it a full-on acid trip. That's what I love about like 70s Doctor Strange comic book. You look at the screenshots, it's just like colors everywhere, and that's what I want in my Doctor Strange movies. And it just some of it worked, some of it didn't work. I need to rewatch it to see now that like my expectations are like shattered. Then maybe like then I'll be able to like pick up the piece and be like, you know what? Actually, now that I'm going back into it, maybe it's not as bad. So I definitely need to rewatch it. But yeah, like being very, very upset in the theater, just like this is not kind of what I was hoping for at all. And yeah, maybe I'll like it more in the second time. But again, not all horrible, not bad in any sense of the word, just like a meh. It's all meh.
Scully.
I could honestly talk for 3 hours about this movie and how like first time I watched it, I really, really enjoyed it. And then the second time I saw a lot of those little flaws that I saw a lot of other people talking about. And I think for me, a lot of it stems from, I know like what the initial idea was with Derrickson. And ultimately it's kind of like Rise of Skywalker. I would rather have the original director who was supposed to direct it do his thing with it being a little bit more creative rather than getting, a guy who's sort of done this before to just kind of just throw his ideas out there. Because ultimately, I don't think Raimi and the MCU mix well. I think that was one of the big issues with the film. It felt disconnected at times with the direction they were trying to go. But I think one of the biggest strengths of the film is Strange and Christine. I actually like that element a lot. It brings it from the first Doctor Strange film, connects it to like what our Stephen Strange has dealt with in the past, rather than fully going into this multiversal idea and just abandoning all that. So I like that it was sort of tethered to the first film more than anything else. But aside from that, it's a little disappointing. I still like it though. I still think it's a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good point about the Christine stuff. I didn't think about that, Scully, but I would agree with you. Payson, what do you think?
Yeah, it would have been really nice if someone took the multiverse concept and made a better movie this year, but nah, guy can only dream. No, but yeah, I think this movie is good. I think it lands like toward the back half of my MCU ranking. I'm looking at my Sam Raimi ranking. It's my 9 of 15. I agree with what Brandon said. The weirder this movie gets, the more I enjoy it. But yeah, I do just think like I think the studio and the director were a little bit at odds with this movie. Okay, do you guys remember the post-credit scene of the original Doctor Strange? Can we all agree that when that post-credit scene was filmed, this movie was in no way near in the plans? Because the post-credit scene of Doctor Strange with Morden, like,
Morden?
What's his name?
Mordo. The legend of Morden. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just seeing where they take that, it's like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. And yeah, like Tim said, the Illuminati thing is stupid.
Yeah.
Like it really just like what people say about the No Way Home references and callbacks. That's really how I felt about the Multiverse of Madness callback. Like can we spoil the Illuminati?
I already did.
Okay, when Professor X shows up, I felt nothing. Like, I legit felt nothing. I was like, okay, he's here.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I liked Professor X showing up. I hated him going out like a punk bitch.
Yeah, I had an initial shock of all of them being there, like, oh, this is awesome. And then the more I thought about it, like, wait, what is...
I had spaghetti tonight for dinner, and it reminded me of John Krasinski in this film.
Yeah, that's fair. You didn't like it when Professor X's head got split open?
No, I did not.
You weren't a fan of that?
Man doesn't have hair. He's bald.
I do love hearing Patrick Stewart say, "You must protect American Chavez." Like, yeah, he's great in everything, but I agree with Payson. Where like I just felt nothing. Like, I was more excited by Krasinski until he started not acting well. Okay. Anything else on Doctor Strange? No. Okay. Brandon, why don't we go to you? What is your least favorite movie you logged this week?
Right, a movie where we could talk about for hours and have a lot to say about, to a movie that probably no one will have anything to say about. And I'll tell you when it's from. The Giant Spider Invasion from 1975. I did this for my Hooptober challenge for you had to pick an insect movie, and arachnids aren't even insects, so I screwed up. This is, if you want to watch, and I found out later on also that this was a Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie, which would have made this, and I'm an idiot and watched it without the commentary, so that was even more fun. This is just a really bad, like these 1970s campy monster movies are either just horrible but like enjoyable, or just horrible, and this is just absolutely horrible. It has like it's so cliche. The actors just don't care at all. Like anytime there's like a little bit of like sex going on, they play like bounce wow wow, like literally just like some guy going bounce wow wow, and it has some of the weirdest dialogue. Like this movie, I feel like this movie invented like stepdad porn. Like there's this weird relationship between one of the characters and they went brother-in-law, and it's like, I'm not 13 anymore. Now I'm 32, 17, 31. And then he like reaches at it and she slaps him in the face. I'm not the type of girl, and walks out. It's freaking insane. I haven't even mentioned the spiders because they're not in this movie. Like the last 20 minutes of this movie is their spiders, and it's just like they got just like a stuffed spider from Dave and Buster's and just like threw it on people. It is so bad. And also, one of my favorite lines is this redneck dude just got done hooking up with this chick, and he's leaving. Aren't you forgetting something? He's like, what? And she goes, your back brace. Here, let me put it on you. And then there's a whole scene of her just putting a back brace on this guy. This movie makes no sense. It is super boring. If you're gonna watch it, drink or smoke a lot of things. Put a lot of things in your body, and then maybe it's enjoyable. But yeah, Giant Spider Invasion, do not recommend.
Brandon, I just searched you on Letterboxd. Did I follow you? Did you just see it?
You did, yeah.
Okay, that got you. Okay.
I haven't even logged it yet because I'm still contemplating what my score is.
No, that's fair. I was just making sure I found the profile right. No. If you know anything about me, I am married to a 4'8" sexy lawyer. 4'10" sexy lawyer. It's very dainty, but if there's a spider in the house, she's killing it. Like, I'm not fucking with that shit. Like, no, thank you. So you say the movie's terrible, even more reason not to watch it. But yeah, anything with spider in the title, unless he is a web slinging crime fighter, I'm not there for it. Scully, why did you see this on opening night in 1975?
I don't know, man. It had stepdad porn in it, so I guess.
No, it was brother-in-law. It wasn't even stepdad. It was weird.
Oh, well, then that's just false advertising.
Yeah.
Payson.
Yeah, I wasn't going to see this, but once you met, no, I'm not going to see this.
Boatman.
I actually disagree. I think this is a subversive masterpiece with, musings on the nature of life and death and back braces. I haven't seen this.
And back braces. All right, Scully, let's go to you.
All right, once again, we're going to go outside of what I watched for trivia. They told me not to worry, but I worried a lot, darling. I don't know what the fuck any of that was. I'll be completely honest. I missed the first 10 minutes because I was getting food at the theater. And honestly, I think if I had watched those first 10 minutes, I still would not have understood everything that was going on. We have fucking Jeffrey Dahmer, Harry Styles, strapping his wife to a bed or whatever. Who, by the way, Florence Pugh, great.
Spoilers.
So yeah, I guess spoilers, Scully.
Look, honestly, if you haven't seen the film by now, you probably don't want to see the film. Let's be honest here. Also, Chris Pine, great. I actually kind of want to, after watching this, I kind of want to see Chris Pine in more villain roles because, like, he would low-key really, really kill it as a villain role. Dr. Doom, maybe. But overall, the movie, there's just, like, at no point was I ever intrigued or, I mean, mostly I was just so unbelievably confused by the lack of direction the film seemed to be taking. It was almost like the director didn't direct 80% of the film and was instead shacking up with the lead actor for the majority of that time. So yeah, this movie sucked big time.
Why is this the third time we've talked about this movie on this show? I've talked about it. I can't say much more. This movie sucks. Payson?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. Tim, so you were a fandom showrunner before Nick, correct?
Yes.
I really hope when you made Tim become the co-fandom showrunner, you too did what Chris Pine did to Harry Styles in this movie and had him dance on a stage to everyone applauding, because that is the best / worst scene in this movie.
Yeah, that's when Maggie got up to pee, actually. It was during
incredible.
I envy her, really.
Boatman.
I hope the salad dressing was worth it.
Brandon.
I don't know what that means. I haven't seen this movie.
Either.
I haven't seen this movie. I don't know if I'll ever see this movie. Was intrigued, but now I'm actually kind of more intrigued now to see why people hate it so much. So maybe I'll catch it on home video eventually.
That's fair. All right. I will go next, but I haven't decided yet. I'm doing the scroll. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is probably the one. So I'm gonna dive right in, and we're gonna go for it. Sorry, I'm typing. I was really sad this weekend because of Halloween Ends, and I didn't hate the movie. Who here has seen it? That's it. Okay. I know Scully will eventually probably watch it. Boatman and Brand. I'm not going to talk like
I'm watching this weekend. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I'm going to. The plot of the movie is not in the trailers, like whatsoever. And I do want to talk about the plot. Do you guys care if I do that?
Go for it.
Okay. So the trailers advertise this movie as like the final showdown, Laurie, Michael. That is not what this movie is. Like, go in with your expectations very tempered. Buggy, please. I'm talking about a terrible film. This is like the plot of the movie is basically like there's this guy. It's 4 years after Halloween Kills, and there's this guy that the town hates, that Haddonfield hates. His name's Corey. Fucking Corey, Maggie says. And the movie is about like him dealing with the fact that Haddonfield hates him. And then Michael shows up at the end. That is the movie. Like,
I have a question, Tim.
Yes, Bowman.
Does this young gentleman go to the Myers family home?
I don't think he does.
He doesn't?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I was hoping we would get Corey in the house.
I hate you so much.
Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, this fucking Jesus Christ. What are you doing to me? You love Corey so much. This movie, the guy who plays this Corey guy is fine. Like, he's fine, and the kills are decent, but they don't happen until the end of the movie. And there's so much build up. That's enough. You're done. And there's so much build up to a nothing ending the actual showdown between Michael and Laurie is probably the best part of the movie, but you see most of it in the trailers. It's a big disappointment. I really didn't like kills, and so I really didn't. I was looking forward to this, and it really didn't do anything for me. I appreciate that they took a huge swing, because I'd rather have a movie like this than Kills, where they do take a big swing and try for something high, but at the end of the day, it's just no, like big oof from me. Yeah, I don't know. I was really disappointed. The ending is like really weird to me, and I can't talk about it without spoilers. But maybe I'll hit up Payson later and we can talk about it. Actually, yeah, Payson, let's go to you. What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, I was really into this movie for the first 20 minutes because this movie teases something different, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. But then the way how a certain character like has a motive change just and I'm okay with it happening, but the way how they do it just completely killed it for me. I hated how they handled Michael in this movie. I'll be honest, I would have rathered him just not be in it if this is what they were going to do. The guy Corey is getting bullied by this like 16-year-old Christopher Moltisanti lookalike from The Sopranos, and it's just like, why are these high schoolers just like bullying this like 20-year-old? It's like, that's weird. Yeah, just like Tim said, the final confrontation between Laurie and Michael is not what this movie is about. Yeah, I just wasn't a fan, and I wish, yeah.
I said to Maggie, and again, Payson will, and the people who have seen the movie will know better what I'm talking about. But I think they almost should have switched Kills in this. Like if the main plot of this movie was like Halloween Kills, like he goes on his rampage and he burns in the house at the end of 2018, and he goes missing for 4 years, and then the stuff with Corey happens in this movie. And then at the end, Michael comes back and goes on a big rampage, and that's Halloween Kills. And then they have the same final confrontation at the end of Kills. I probably would have liked both movies better. But the fact that it goes in this, like, this is the payoff of this trilogy or this quadrilogy, I guess, just, like, does not work for me. The rest of you said you hadn't seen it, but does anybody want to say anything about it?
I was going to see it tonight, and then I remembered I'm doing this tonight. So
I do think there are some good things about it, and you should still see it if you're a fan of the franchise, but it's just disappointing. Were you going to say something, Brandon? Sorry.
I'll catch it on streaming eventually. But yeah, no.
Yeah, it is streaming on Peacock right now, so if you don't want to go to the theater, you can watch
I'll definitely do that.
Okay. So I believe that was everybody, right, for worst. So we were going to get into the list. So we're going to start talking about our comic book villains. Payson, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. I'm going to stay on brand. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love Batman Returns. And I'm going to be taking Michelle Pfeiffer as Selena Kyle, a.k.a. Catwoman. I think Michelle Pfeiffer absolutely owns this part. Like, the first point in which Christopher Walken pushes her out of a building, and she just comes home and just wrecks her entire apartment. Like, I'm like, okay, we're in. I think Michelle Pfeiffer just plays both the, like, nerdy, meek woman and the like, confident supervillain of Catwoman super well. I think she has a ton of chemistry with Michael Keaton as Batman, in my opinion, more than Kim Basinger had with Michael Keaton in the original one. Yeah, I think she's the best part of the movie, and I think she's having a lot of fun, so I'm taking Catwoman for Batman Returns.
I don't love the movie, but I like the character and the performance. I've never been a big Batman Returns person. I like 89 Batman a lot, but this and the rest of them I'm not a big fan of. And so yeah, but she's great and their chemistry is really good. But on the whole, the movie doesn't really do it for me, so it's hard to like go back and like watch it. But when I do watch it, I find myself being very drawn to her performance because she's by far, I think, the best part of the movie. Other than Keaton, I think Keaton's great.
Yeah.
But Boatman, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, no, I think this is a great pick. Michelle Pfeiffer. I know some people like hate this movie. I know some people love this movie. I'm in the in between. Like I think it's good, not great. And Michelle Pfeiffer. I think all three of the villains are like my three favorite things about this movie. Walken is just hilarious. DeVito's doing something really interesting, and Pfeiffer is my favorite of the three villains in this movie. I think she is probably the best Catwoman we've had. So yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great pick. I love this era of villains where they just go super wacky and over the top with it, but like fully commit to the character. And it's just like she's super scary, but she's also like super hot, so you like can't look away. And it's just, yeah, I remember just being as a child, be like, I'm so confused, and just drama. But yeah, it's great. And there's a little short man with the hook nose yelling at me, and it's just, I don't know. This movie fucked me up as a kid. So.
Yeah, you're like scared and horny all at the same
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad the camera's like waist light. You can't see the body. Yeah, it's just like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, so I'm conflicted.
Scully.
Yeah, I don't like this movie, but I do agree that Michelle Pfeiffer is probably the strongest aspect of the film, even though she's not my favorite Catwoman. But she takes over every scene that she is in. And to be honest, I probably would have enjoyed the film better if she had been more of a main villain instead of at times feeling secondary to both DeVito and Walken. I think the film kind of takes attention away from her too much because she naturally just takes over every scene that she's in. That's how good she is. So, you know, I don't hate the pick, but I don't, again, love this movie, but she is great.
Okay. We are gonna move on over to Boatman.
Did we make it through that whole thing without a Walken impression?
Would you give
No.
the Constitution?
No.
Anyway, that's Mason's fault. That's not mine.
Oh, 100%.
Anyway, I'm going to go with. I knew I wanted to do one kind of non-like Marvel DC comic book movie, and I think I'm going to go with Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And I think my personal favorite villain from that movie is Lucas Lee, Chris Evans. I think Chris Evans is so entertaining in this. I just love the idea of like this very like over the top action star. I own my own skate company. I think Lucas Lee is so fun. I do love the other villains, but I think Evans is probably my favorite pick.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I saw it when it came out, and then I hadn't seen it again until last year when they did like the re-release anniversary, or was that 2 years ago? Might have been last year. I don't remember. But I really enjoyed the movie when I rewatched it. Bought the 4K Blu-ray, watched it a third time. Really enjoyed it. So I'm a fan now. Clash of Demon Head sucks. But both team and band. Sorry, Holtzman. Your Koho's the problem. Yeah, but the movie's great. I love this character too. I think this is probably the pick I would have made as well, Boatman. So good shit. But yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know how this completely like when thinking about this list completely like just missed my mind. Even though they're right behind, I have all 7 books right behind me. Yeah, this movie, I love the story. I love the movie. It's awesome. I remember having to go see this alone because I couldn't convince anyone that like it looked good. They're like, this looks weird and stupid. And now I'm the genius after the fact that this movie was awesome. Yeah, there's so many to pick from in this movie. I think you picked the right choice. It's just definitely the most like memorable, the most quotable. Like the guy's Captain America. Yeah, people still like sometimes I still look at him and think of this character. So yeah, I mean this is a great pick.
Scully.
Yeah, I like the movie. I like Chris Evans a lot. He's probably my favorite performance in that film. I think it's emblematic of how crazy it is that he, of all people, was cast as Captain America. When you think of, Fantastic Four, The Losers, and this film as well, the kind of career he had in these types of films before becoming Captain America. But yeah, again, I think his scenes stand out above the rest of the film by far. When he left, I was like, no, come back. The movie is significantly better with you in it. But yeah, so it's a good pick.
Payson.
Yeah, I think of all the picks from this movie, I think you made the correct choice. I think Chris Evans is having so much fun in this performance. Could you do a little thing on your skateboard, just like a little thing, and just that's how he defeats him, I think is great. Yeah, I came to this movie a little later. I think I watched it for the first time 2 years ago, and I really liked it. And Chris Evans was one of my favorite parts. So yeah, really good pick.
Awesome. All right, Brandon, let's move on to you. What's your first pick?
So my first pick, I want to do one MCU one, and then I'll get weird with it. So my MCU one, I'm gonna go with the Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming, because just like in this day and age, like so many of the it was actually hard. So many MCU characters, villains, just kind of like blend together. Modern day superhero movies is kind of CGI versus CGI like mess. So this one really felt like more grounded to it. His like reasoning for like why these superheroes are coming in and causing all this. Like I need to make my living too, and just having like kind of a more grounded reason for doing this. Like really, tugs at the heart, or kind of like relates to the people a little bit more. So you can kind of see like a little bit where he's coming from, rather than just like I'm going to take over the world. And just gives a great performance. Again, like has amazing scenes of like that reveal of him opening the door, and you get that whole tension between him and Peter, and just like does such a great job. Just in this day and age of just like how big can we go with the villain? How big can we go with the villain? But then at the end of the day, it's just like that's why he did it. So this still stands out as one of my favorite MCU villains.
I really like this movie. I've never been this is 5 out of 5 like top 5 MCU movies. Like I think it's I think I have it at like 11 or 12. Like it like barely is out of the top 10. But that being said, I think it probably has the single best villain hero interactions in any of the movies. I will never forget sitting in the theater opening night, first showing with Maggie, when that twist happens and he opens that, when Toombs opens that door and Peter's on the, like, holy fuck. Like, it's still one of, every time I watch this movie is so good. That whole sequence from there until the end between the two of them. Yeah. The conversation in the car as Toombs is figuring it out, and then their conversation like in the warehouse and Peter getting crushed, and then the actual like final battle like is just so good. And it's all because like Keaton is just like we talked about it before with Batman Returns, that he's like one of the best parts of that movie, and I think he is the best part of this movie. He's just so fantastic as this character, and just from the get-go, they do a really smart job of opening the movie with him and kind of figuring out like why he's doing what he's doing, and like you get it, and like that's the best part of the best MCU villains are the ones that you sympathize with, like him and well, I guess I won't name other ones because they might come up, but yeah, this is a fantastic pick. Scully, what do you think of this one?
Love the pick. I think this is the best Keaton has been, I think, in any comic book film. I think he's better in this than in his appearances as Batman.
What about Morbius?
Yeah, right.
Wait for the Flash.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's one of my favorite MCU villains. You're right that whole car scene, the whole twist of him is so well done and perfectly executed, and it matches up so well with like with his brand of acting, how he can be just so calm and so friendly and then just snap like that into something more menacing. So yeah, love the pick, love the movie. I'm with you, Tim. It's not a 5 out of 5 for me, but it's in that like 11 to 13 range for MCU films.
Payson.
Yeah, I think this is a great pick. Yeah, that scene in the car, that whole conversation of Toombs figuring out everything, I think is great. I kind of love that Toombs is not the most his whole thing with what he's doing. It's not, the stakes are not as high as some other MCU movies. And I think I kind of like it for that reason, that it seems just a little bit more personal. Toombs is doing what he's doing because he's mad, because he feels like he got screwed by Tony Stark. So you understand the reasoning for that. I think the effects of what they do with the Vulture suit to translate that onto film, I think was really, really cool. Yeah, I think it's a really, really good choice.
Boatman, what do you think about this one?
There's a line in the Weird Al song Ode to a Superhero, referencing Green Goblin. Hold on. Where he says, and he's wearing that dumb Power Rangers mask, but he's scarier without it on. And I think that goes so much to the Vulture. Because I think this character's fine on paper. But almost all the credit for this character, I feel does go to Michael Keaton, who is just giving such an intense, dedicated performance, more than I feel most actors who do these comic book movies do. I feel they play it they're playing villains, but they're playing comic book villains, so they do it as they're kind of winking at it. Keaton is playing this deadly serious. The dude is going all in, and I think it's an incredible performance of dedication.
Yeah. Great point. All right, Scully, we're going to you. What's your first pick?
My first pick, I think he is hands down my favorite comic book villain, because in the last few films he was in as a character, we see so much. We see a big different side of him. It's Magneto, and I'm doing Magneto from X-Men First Class, which, really enough, is the one he's least. I shouldn't say least of a villain, but he's less of a villain in. But we get so much into his backstory as a character, his tragic upbringing, what he went through in Poland when he was a kid, just the sheer brutality and the mental torture and anguish of what he went through. You start to understand why he is the way he is, why he is so unsympathetic towards the humans who don't give him a second look, who instantly treat him as a villain. Basically saying, you think I'm the villain? All right, fine. I'll be the villain. And even though throughout this film Charles tries to help him fight those instincts, in the end, when it's him and Schmidt in that submarine and he has that coin, it's game over. It's such an incredibly tragic but also powerful moment. It's that moment where he becomes the villain, but he also becomes somebody who you can sort of sympathize with, and also you understand him. And overall, as a villain, he's badass. I mean, the guy can move and shape and bend metal to his will. The way he can kill people by whether it be crushing their head in something, or with the coin, or even in Apocalypse, where he uses his daughter's necklace to just gut everybody. I mean, he's really a jack of all trades in that department. But overall, I think the character of Eric Lensher, and played brilliantly by both Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender, he is so much more than just that menacing villain. He has so much pain and anguish that he went through. You're like, yeah, I mean, I think I'd be a villain too if I went through all that.
Yeah, the First Class especially does something really special in that going into that movie that he's going to end up being the bad guy. By the end, there's going to be some sort of conflict where Magneto is the villain, but the movie still makes you sit there and go, no, like he's gonna be like, he'll be good, like he's gonna chill with Charles, everything will be fine. The movie does such a good job of convincing you, because Michael Fassbender is so good at the character, like it convinces you, and like you get so sucked into that performance and that character. First Class is my favorite X-Men movie. I think the movie's brilliant. I think that McAvoy and Fassbender are so fucking good. But Magneto in every one of the movies except for Last Stand, I think, is great. Magneto's not even in The Last Stand. I don't know what that character Ian McKellen was playing was. I don't think that was Magneto. But otherwise, I love him in all the movies. Days of Future Past, having both of them there was really, really great. And getting to see McKellen do it again after such a long time was, I remember sitting in the theater for that and just being blown away. But First Class, I agree, is kind of the one that I always go to. The Frankenstein's monster scene is like top 5 comic book scenes for me. It's so fucking good. Yeah, great pick. I knew it was going to come up, so hell yeah. Pacing.
No, I think this is like a pick you kind of have to make. Like Magneto, arguably the greatest comic book villain of all time, just with how I think you completely understand the anger he has, maybe not necessarily his methods about going by it. And yeah, I think Fassbender completely kills it in this role. Really great at playing like a young Ian McKellen. Like Scully said, like Scully or Tim said this. I'm so sorry. But where the character is going to end up in the end. But that journey with him is still super interesting. The coin murder, excellent scene. Yeah, I think this is great. This movie's so good that you forget that it completely just copy pasted the opening scene of the original X-Men. And yeah.
Boatman.
I think that there's actually something really powerful about knowing where Magneto is going to end up. I think there's something kind of cosmically tragic about it, of just kind of knowing that no matter what, this character is going to be at this point, because it's kind of like, it's like watching a car crash that is about to happen, that you know how it's going to happen. There's just something like unstoppably tragic about it that I think is like really fascinating. I think Fassbender is doing a really good job in this movie. The Frankenstein's monster scene is like just awesome. I just feel like Magneto is just one of those comic book characters that just kind of almost has like the same vibe of like a Shakespearean villain, or like just like a classic literature villain, of just like this the sympathetic tragic character. Really, I think there's something really fascinating about the character of Magneto in general. Absolutely. But
Brandon,
perfect pick.
Sorry, I thought you were done. Brandon.
Yeah, I was thinking about Magneto here, but yeah, if you're gonna pick one, I think First Class is the way to go. And I think I agree with Boatman. Like, because we know where it goes, I think it works so much better, because you're watching this character and you watch the twists and turns, and you're just like maybe I can save him this time. Like maybe this time is going to be better. Like, it's kind of like what I feel like what they wish would have happened with Anakin in the prequels is like this torment of the character, and you're like, well, maybe not, maybe he won't, but not, and like you just never know, and the twists and turns, and it's just like amazing to see. And we got some Jewish representation on the screen. On the screen, the superhero movie is always nice, except some dark times. But yeah, I'm not crazy about some of the later Fassbender stuff. I mean, there's always cool moments. But again, like some of the later McKellen stuff too. So, but when it's good, like Magneto is at the very, very top.
Yeah. All right. I will go next. I'm going to go for the basic Tim pick from my favorite MCU movie, the basic one, Thanos from Avengers Infinity War specifically. But this is my favorite MCU movie. Arguably, people say, you know, this is kind of Thanos' movie and the Avengers are just like there, and I would tend to agree. He gets so much screen time to do what he needs to do. And I remember in the lead up to this movie, like, we had seen him at the end of Avengers and Guardians, and then at the end of Age of Ultron, and it was like, okay, are they really going to be able to pull this off? And from scene one, he cements himself as the, in my opinion, the best MCU villain. I will never forget sitting in the theater with Maggie, and I talk about this a lot. When Maggie and I watch these movies, we usually watch them early because I work at the theater, and so we watch them by ourselves. And we were alone in the theater watching this, and when he just beats the shit out of Hulk in that like first few minutes, like we were like losing our fucking minds from like moment one. And just like that opening monologue that he does, the know what it's like to lose, like, oh, it's so good. Like everything is, I just love the character. Like if you can't tell, like I gush over Brolin's performance. I think they just did a really, I think it's some of the best motion capture and visual effects ever in an MCU movie. Like the scene on Titan when they're all holding him down and Mantis is on his head or whatever, and they do like the close-ups of Thanos's head. It's insane. The level of detail in that CGI is stupid. The movie is picking Thanos is inevitable. Yes. That being said, I don't like him as much in Endgame. I think that comes a lot from just the fact that the character that's in Infinity War is a different Thanos. It's just at the end of the day, the one that's in Endgame is much more of a they're still the same like goals at the end of the day, the core goals of their character, but the one in Infinity War is just so much further on his path, and the one in Endgame is like, oh, cool, I just show up at this planet and I can get all the stones. Great, let's do this. And then he's just kind of there as like the big thing for them to fight at the end of the movie. But yeah, I just love the character. I can't think of another movie where the movie ends with our heroes literally just like fucking dead, and the movie ends on a shot of the villain like sitting there just smiling, where I'm like, yeah, fuck yes, let's go. Where I'm like so happy, like, yeah, let's go Thanos. And the scary part of the whole thing is his whole thing of getting rid of the 50%. His reasons make a lot of fucking sense, and it's so crazy. And when he talks about it, like a lot of his shit adds up. It's kind of fucked up and crazy. So it's a great movie that way. Also, I will say, to the people out there who were criticizing Thor: Love and Thunder for having infinity cones, the Infinity Gauntlet was not only known as the weapon of Thanos, but also the thing that saved humanity. So get off your fucking high horse. They're allowed to have an ice cream shop called Infinity Cones. The Gauntlet fucking saved the universe. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, that's my rant about Thanos.
How long have you been holding that one in?
Oh, it pissed me off from day one. Everyone was like, they made a place celebrating the end of the world. No, you fucking morons. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, Payson, you looked mad when I said that Thanos had a point.
Okay, so like the thing is, like that is my Gotham City was a character thing, where like I heard so many people use that to justify Thanos' method.
Well,
like, okay, fair. If you want to say you had a point, fine. But like, I've met people that said like, yeah, so like, I get what he was doing. He's like, no, you don't get to make that call. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. No, I'm not saying. Yeah, Oh, you know me, Payson. Tim Brzakala thinks 50% of the world should just die right now.
We find out that Tim has like 50 bodies buried in his backyard.
We're all laughing because that's actually you.
I was gonna say. But no, like
they're in my basement, not in the backyard.
What Tim said about the infinity cones that people made like a gauntlet thing to a treat to like celebrate this horrible thing. Like at the end of the day, if you go to like I don't know, like a Spencer's, you know what you can find shirts of? Che Guevara. Look up what he did. But on the other hand, yeah,
Payson actually has a point.
yeah. There are
talk about Thanos.
Okay, yeah, Thanos is a great pick. I agree with what Tim said. The detail in his face is really, really cool. The first time he shows up, like you feel the threat. I love how he was like built up throughout the years. Yeah, he's not as good as Endgame because between Endgame and Infinity War chronologically, that's like 4 years. So yeah, Thanos really good pick. 5 years, yeah, 5 years, good point.
Boatman.
I think Thanos in Infinity War is good. The one thing I'm mad about Infinity Cones is that you've got canonically a place called Infinity Cones. Why is that not in Avengers Campus? That's stupid. I'd buy ice cream from there.
That's fair.
I'd do that. But yeah,
Disney.
no. Yeah, Disney, get on that. You shut up and take the money. I think that Thanos is honestly kind of not quite the same, but similar vibes to Magneto in the sense that you do kind of have this tragic villain arc. To me, the kind of other side of the Thanos was a right argument is the other kind of meme argument of why couldn't Thanos have just doubled the resources? So I think you can kind of make those arguments both ways. But overall, really good villain.
Brandon.
Yeah, I've heard this movie's good. I haven't seen it yet. No, I mean, what else is it like? What is there to say? Thanos, like, but again, sticking with kind of the theme is like these sympathetic villains makes for so much more interesting. When it's just like I'm gonna take over the world and world domination, it's just not very interesting anymore. So we've had a few on this list now of they kind of have a point. Maybe they didn't do it the same way, but they kind of had a point, and it makes it so much more intriguing because he's invested in it. And Josh Brolin, one of my few, because I have a real hit and miss thing with like when it's a full CGI, face that you're dealing with, and you honestly don't even like. You're just like, oh, that's just Thanos on the screen. Like you forget it's Josh Brolin, you forget it's CGI. It's just like they do such a good job of making it, of like having this character give emotion in his performance, and it's just a big purple dude. And I wish they kind of kept that going with some green people that they have on screen right now. It's not quite the same anymore, but yeah, it's amazing. And you do bring up a good point of like Endgame. It does really feel like a different character. Like, I guess since it's like the time travel thing, but yeah, it really does feel like a different character. But that. And the thing I was worried about is with a lot of these superhero movies, the villain, it's the superhero's movie and the villains gets left behind. And then they expect him to be just like, haha, like you care about me. And the fact that they like really push it as Thanos' movie with the Avengers in it makes it work so much more.
Scully.
Yeah, I mean, what I love most about him is that he's just so calm and just so certain of what he wants. He's not like, other, world dominating, world ending villains where he's just very fierce and very sort of physically demanding about what he wants. He politely says like, this is what I'm going to do. And if I have to go through you, then I will do it. And then when he snaps into warrior mode, he's fucking terrifying. He's absolutely terrifying. He's almost like Magneto in a way where he's very calm and certain of what he wants, and then when it's time to play ball, he's fucking terrifying. And those are two qualities that make you a very successful villain, even though he was only the main villain in 2 films, his presence just dominates the screen. It's what makes him one of the best of all time.
Yeah, that moment with him and like Tony, like their conversation, like on Titan, like it literally gets me every time. Just like the before the battle of like the you're not the only one cursed with knowledge, and then the after he stabs him and everything, and he does. It was in the trailer, but it literally gets me every time. But I hope they remember you, like now, especially after knowing like where Endgame goes, like it's just brilliant. Like I fucking love it.
He respects his opposites, unlike other villains.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Let's go back up to Payson. Your second pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of tiptoe around this one because I really don't want to get into spoilers with this one. Some people know this, some people don't. 2003's Old Boy is in fact a comic book movie, and I'm going to be taking Lee Woo Jin, who is the villain of this movie. This is not a spoiler, but essentially what Old Boy is about, it's about this guy, his name is Odaisu, and he kidnaps this one guy and holds him captive for 15 years. And around the halfway point, you learn that this guy, Lee Woo Jin, was the one that orchestrated his kidnapping. And he literally tells him, you have 5 days to figure out why I did this to you. If you don't, I'm going to kill this person that's I'm going to kill this person that's super close to you. And if you do figure it out, I'm going to kill myself. Throughout the movie, you begin to realize why this guy kidnapped him. And to not go into any spoilers, these two have a past. And the reason Odaisu hates Lee Woo Jin is because Odaisu did something in high school that anyone who was in that circumstance would have done. The only problem is he did it to maybe the most sadistic and messed up guy he possibly could have. And it sent Lee Woo Jin into this spiral that made him say, I'm going to make Odaisu's life the worst life possible. So that is why I'm taking Lee Woo Jin.
I've never seen this movie. I want to. I know a lot about it from just, the internet and the weird things that happen in it. I don't know if it's the same between this and the American version. Am I crazy? Did Spike Lee make the American one? Am I crazy?
Yes.
Yes, people.
He did, Tim.
People don't like that movie, right?
No.
No.
Is it just because it's a bad remake, or is it different, or what's the deal?
Both. Like,
Spike Lee didn't want to make that. He did not want to be there. No one wanted to be there. It bad.
Fair. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it though. So Boatman.
Yeah, I watched this for the first time in theaters with Payson like a month ago. Not even that, but just like a few weeks ago. And this movie's really good. And this villain, I don't want to say too much, but man, this dude is just the worst. He's the worst, but like in a very intriguing way. It's just, I didn't even think about this because I keep forgetting this is a comic book movie. But this is a fantastic pick, basically.
Brandon.
Yeah, this is, completely different than all the other villains we've talked about. I didn't realize it was a comic book movie. And this movie is just batshit crazy and awesome. And it's just like completely different. All these other villains is all like, we're trying to physically, affect our heroes. This is completely he's a different way of attacking him. And it's amazing that this movie's, when this come out? Like
2003. 2003.
And like, and all these other movies we talked about today were like, oh, it's 10 years old, 20 years old. Like, we're just talking about it. And this one is just like, this movie's so good that like, this is the one movie that people still hold. Like Fight Club, people spoil it all the time, but this one, people hold it so like dearly. They're just like, just watch it. And this movie's amazing.
Scully.
Never seen it, but what they said about
No, Scully's gonna kill someone.
Boatman, let's go to you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a more basic pick, but I'm not gonna take the most basic of picks. I'll take the second most basic of picks. I'm going with Doc Ock, Alfred Molina. I think that
I'm assuming from Spider-Man.
from
2.
Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's good in No Way Home, but yeah, no, from Spider-Man 2. Because I think that Molina is like so good. And I love him as the villain, but I love just like the conversation between him and Peter at the dinner table. I think that is like just such like, because you can tell it's like he recognizes a little bit of him and Peter, and he gives Peter like a little bit of tough love of like, you're smart but lazy. And then the way that line comes back into play later, I like that. And yeah, no, I think like it's the typical mad scientist, archetype, but I think Molina brings something really tragic out of it. And yeah, I think it's really well done with just the right amount of goofiness to the point where it's still like comic booky, but not to the point where it feels too much.
Yeah, I mean, I love this movie. This is one of my favorite comic book movies, one of my favorite movies. And I grew up watching this. Like, I remember seeing this in the theater with my dad on opening night and just like being transformed forever. It's a beautiful film. Great villain. I mean, there's so many good stuff, and it's so cheesy in all the best ways. Like him dropping it, Butterfingers, like that shit is so good. Molina's just fantastic and super menacing. And he does a really, really good job of like towing that line between like guy who doesn't want to be in this situation and guy also just like being out of control of the situation. And I think Bowman's right when that line, that like smart but lazy, comes back up at like later, like that's a really, really great moment. Or brilliant but lazy, or whatever he says, it's a great moment. There are certain things about it that don't quite hold up. CGI is not great, but I mean, the movie's almost 20 years old. Like, whatever, who gives a shit? Like, that stuff never really bothers me. But at the end of the day, the power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Let's fucking go. Great movie, great pick. Brandon, what do you think?
Am I crazy, or were the arms practical? For my
they were for a lot of it. The CGI stuff I'm referring to more like at the end when he's like drowning it. And
yeah,
really bad, like stuff like that. But
I believe the arms were like a combo of CGI and puppeteering.
Okay.
I know for most of the like the hospital scene, that was like 95% practical.
A lot of the close-ups and everything were practical. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I love this pick. I love. I might like him better than the other one that's out there. It's just kind of, it's like kind of a silly character, Dr. Octopus, but they like treat it so like Molina just goes all in on it, treats it so silly, so seriously and carefully. Like I didn't like the MCU-ness of, when he comes in, it's like Dr. Octopus and they're like all laughing at him. I liked how in Spider-Man 2 is just like go all in. Spider-Man or comic movies are dumb and silly, and this guy just brings in the completely, super menacing, has a little bit of everything in it, and just has an overall just amazing performance to this. And it still holds up, like with all that silliness and the cheesiness, and like it's 20 years old. The performance itself still stands above because he just gives it his all. And that's what like I've seen with like all these villains, like when the actor buys in, like it really shows off.
Yeah, absolutely. Scully, did you talk?
I'm talking to you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is one of my favorite comic films, and yeah, Molina gives one of my favorite performances in a comic book film. I mean, he is a mad scientist, but he's so much more than that. He has a distinct idea of what he wants to do, and it's all about how his own work corrupts his ultimately good soul and uses that for evil intentions. So it's kind of about how the things that you create can come back to sort of harm you in the end. And I think that's a really interesting message that they send. And then Melina's quirky one-liners are always fun to listen to. The Butterfingers line kills me every time. And yeah, so he's incredible.
We found the rubber band.
Oh yeah, that's a great moment too. Payson.
Yeah. I think this is one of like the quintessential picks. I think you have to make when you're making on like a list like this. Alfred Molina's having so much fun in this movie. Like it's hard not to love this performance. Like Brandon said, I think a thing that really helps this performance in this movie is the sincerity. Like the fact that they're letting the audience is allowed to crack jokes at it, but the characters in the movie are not. Mm-hmm. And I think that's I really do enjoy like that earnestness. I love the effects with the arms when it is practical. I do think that stuff really does still work. I think the train scene, that fight is still legendary and still looks great even to this day for me. I think Alfred Molina is incredible. I love during the press tour for No Way Home when Willem Dafoe was like, I wanted to come back to be the Goblin because I truly felt like the role needed me, and I felt like I had a lot more to give to it, and I really feel like it deserved it. And Molina was just honest, like, did it for the money. Just straight up, like, yep, did it for the money. Not even gonna lie. And this is a great pick.
All right, Brandon, I believe we're on to you for your second pick.
All right, from a good pick to a weird pick that I'm going to make. A lot of good movies that we've been talking about. I'm going to take a bad movie, but a character that scared the absolute shit out of me when I was 7 years old. I'm going to take John Leguizamo as the Violator from Spawn.
Oh my God.
I haven't, for some reason, every time I think about comic book villains, this is where my mind goes. I haven't seen this movie in 20 years, but I still just picture him. I was 7 when this came out. My brother was 9, watching it at home. I was like, "What is this?" He's like, "It's the comic book movie." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then just could not sleep for days. John Leguizamo, first off, I love him. Justice for him, replacing him with Charlie Day in the Luigi movie. How dare they? But he's the best part of this movie. He, like I said, he goes all in. Maybe a little too much at times, but he goes all in. These one-liners he throws in, eating maggots. He apparently eaten real maggots and then like threw up everywhere after it. Like you don't have to do that for Spawn, like put your body through that, but he does anyways. And just really the only good thing about that movie, and just terrifying. And still to this day, I'm not really afraid of clowns, but like when I see like big fat clowns, I have flashbacks to seeing Violator for the first time, and it just scarred me for life.
Where are you going that you're seeing a whole lot of big fat clowns?
Hey, I live in Hollywood, you know. There's some weird people out there.
No. I watched this.
I got 2 no's from Tim.
I watched this a couple months ago for the first time. To be exact, it was July 14th. And I talked about it on this show as my least favorite movie I loved that week. I did not like this. I didn't know it was Leguizamo until like halfway through the movie when I looked at the IMDb list. But no. I'm excited that they're redoing it. I think Spawn, if they do it right, can work. This movie's not it, but I get why you picked it. Like that adds up to me. Yeah. But no. Scully.
This is one of those movies where every time I think about watching it and I go to try to find it on streaming, and I'm like, oh no, it's not streaming. And then I find absolutely anything else to do. That's one of those movies. the cast intrigues me because Michael J. White, John Leguizamo, Martin Sheen. It's a cool cast.
They all suck in this movie.
But cool. But the name Violator, I honestly just can't even get past that because that just sounds wrong.
Payson.
Okay, so Scully and Tim could tell me this probably. Was this a Full Metal Geek movie?
Yes.
Fair. Yeah. I don't know too much about it except for the fact that it's bad.
Boatman.
Yeah, I have not seen this and don't plan to.
That's fair. It's got PS1 graphics in it. Let's go to Scully.
All right, so let's see. Do I go?
Yes.
Do I go basic or do I swing for the? You know what? Fuck it. Let's swing for the fences. One of my favorite comic book villains, played by a James Bond actor, Neville Sinclair from The Rocketeer. I absolutely love this movie. I think Timothy Dalton is the best part of this movie. He's just this dickish Hollywood actor. Just one of the first times you just see him on screen, and he's shooting a film, and he stabs his scene partner because he thinks that he's acting better than him in that scene. He literally stabs him with the sword. It's like, oh my God, are you okay? It's gonna be okay. Just completely fake Hollywood actor bit. He's just so good with that. And then the reveal that he's actually, spoilers if you haven't seen it, he's actually a Nazi working within Hollywood. And it's even with that in the back of your mind, you don't really think that when you see him on screen. He's just this perfect British villain who is just so evil and diabolical and ruthless and just very apathetic to all the other characters. Just kind of treating everyone as if they were beneath him, which is kind of like how classic cartoonish villains are. But his performance is incredible. He actually has fairly good chemistry with Jennifer Connelly, even though all of their scenes together can be categorized as maybe a little awkward or concerning. But yeah, he delivers an incredible performance, and he should honestly get more villain roles. I kind of want him to be a James Bond villain at some point before he retires.
Yeah. This is a great pick. I like this movie. It's got a lot of fun, like Joe Johnston, like heart, like pure, just like movie magic fun. And Dalton's the best part of the movie. I don't remember the name of the guy who plays, was it Cliff? Is that his name or something?
Yes.
Billy Campbell.
Yeah, he's whatever. But Dalton's great. Really, really good performance from him. So this is a fantastic pick. I've only seen the movie once, but I really liked it when I watched it, and I would definitely watch it again. And he's definitely the standout. Like I remember him being the best part of the movie. So Payson, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I have not seen The Rocketeer. I feel like I would really, really like it. But on the topic of Neville Sinclair, Scully, I don't have the photo saved to my phone. Do you have the photo?
Oh no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
We don't have to do that. Okay, fair.
Oh, don't do that. Oh,
Yeah, that's not allowed.
move on, Tim. Move on.
Move on.
All right, Boatman.
Yeah, I love Dalton's performance in this. Anytime Dalton gets to be a villain, it's awesome. I love Dalton being a villain. It happens at least twice that I can think of. This and Hot Fuzz. It's probably happened more, but at least twice. And both times, you can tell Dalton's eating up the screen. Dude is just relishing it, and he's so fun in this. Yeah, Sinclair rules.
Brandon.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I haven't seen this movie in 20 years, so don't have much to say. But love Timothy Dalton and hate Nazis. So, good pick.
Well, so there you go. That's fair. All right.
Both stance I take on Nazis, but I'm anti.
it's a bold take, but you're anti. That's good to know. I'm really struggling to pick my last one here. I'm between a couple, and I'm just like looking over my list, and I'm trying to decide. And this is tough. Because I'm trying to decide if I should swing for the fences or if I should do my like generic pick. Oh, Bucky. This is so hard to do. Pick Bucky. He is a villain. That's for sure.
I was like, that what you're taking?
I guess he kind of counts. You know what? I'm gonna swing for the fences because if I'm going in my heart of hearts, this is one that I just like. Obviously, I think we all would agree Heath Ledger's Joker probably should be on this list. I'm not going to take it because we've all talked about it a bajillion times.
I think that's fair.
And so I'm actually going to go and take Bane from The Dark Knight Rises because I really, really love this movie. Batman Begins is actually my favorite of the trilogy. But Ra's al Ghul as a villain, like, isn't 100% like incredibly amazing, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love him. Like, I think he's great. But at the end of the day, like, if I'm talking just pure comic book movie villain, I love Bane in this movie. Like, I think he's just so much fun. Tom Hardy is like eating the scenery here. And again, I say this all the time, but I remember sitting in the theater opening night at the midnight show, and that whole opening like plane sequence, my jaw was just like on the floor. Like, thought it was so incredible. I saw this movie in the theater a ridiculous amount of times because I just love this game. Honestly, I like Begins and The Dark Knight more than this movie, but my favorite scene in the whole trilogy is probably the Bane versus Batman fight in the sewers, where he breaks his back. That whole sequence is just so incredible to me. I think the choreography, the fact that the score drops out for most of the fight, and I love quoting it, just oh, you think darkness is your ally? I did not see the light till I was already a man. Like, that whole thing is so good. And it's obviously a very different interpretation of the main character, but that's okay with me because I just think, like I said, Tom Hardy's just like eating it up. Like, he has so many good moments, and like the oh, what a beautiful voice, and then like just like blowing up the football field, and the thank you, doctor, and then that, oh, it's so great. Like, he's just on fire the whole time, no pun intended. And I think the way he goes out, very disappointing. But at the end of the day, I think his fights with Batman and his kind of like not only mind games, but physical game against a Batman that is clearly out of his element, is just a really interesting take on the Batman character that we hadn't seen. And I love this movie. This is one of those movies that people say isn't the best, and like, I understand the complaints, but I love it. I think it's great. Payson, what do you think about this one?
I honestly kind of prefer Bane and Batman and Robin a little bit more. I really like the whole like wrestling thing with him, and like how he has like the mask too.
I was saying goodnight to Maggie, that's why I cammed off, and then I heard what you said, and I had to like double take. You're fucking with me, right?
Yeah. No, but this is a really, really good pick. I love the Bane voice. Like, I know it's a meme, but I just love how just like purely like unique it is, and like you hear that voice, like you know which character it is. I think Tom Hardy is great. I think I enjoy this movie also more than most. I think you could argue about what they do with Bane at the end is a little unsatisfying, but it doesn't ruin the character for me. I still really, really like it. Speaking of The Dark Knight Rises, though, she's famous now. Do you guys know who played the young Talia al Ghul?
Yeah, it's Joey King.
Joey King.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
it's pretty
nailed
cool.
it.
Mhm.
Boatman, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I do really like Tom Hardy as Bane. I think we memed the voice a little too much. I think like it's fun, but I think it actually does work. And I love this idea of, and I think that's the core idea of Bane, is that he is this like, you know, very formidable fighter physically, but he's also a great intellect. And I think there aren't honestly a lot of I can't really think of off the top of my head another comic book movie villain who is both kind of like super smart and super jacked. Like I think it's like a kind of a funny
Maybe
balance between-
Killmonger, but not to the level that Bane.
not like I think to either level where both are like major
Black Adam.
like
Boom.
what? What?
He said Black Adam.
Well, okay. I forgot that the hierarchy of the DC universe is all.
It's about to change, guys.
Yeah, it's about to change. So right now, it hasn't changed yet.
He's the most powerful DC character in the DC universe on Earth.
Everyone needs to reset their smoke alarms because the hierarchy of the DC universe has changed, and that'll mess that up.
All right. Brandon, Bane, what do you think?
Yeah, I love this pick. I think I love the pick even more that you didn't pick the Joker, because that's like picking the Patriots in early Madden. It's just like, why? Who cares? So this pick, I love Tom Hardy. I remember the first time I saw the opening scene was before Ghost Protocol. If you saw it in IMAX, they played like the first like 20 minutes of it. The audio was a little rough in that cut, but like they fixed it in the the actual release. And it's just, I love when a character is menacing in multiple ways. You get the physical, he's physically menacing, obviously, because he's massive, but not overly cheesy like the Bane from, which I don't hate the Bane. Like I love, I picked the demonic clown. I don't hate the other Bane. I like the weird shit. But the fact that they're able to make him like mentally menacing and like just taking the Batman for a ride, but also just destroying him physically makes the character work on like two different levels for me. And I'm not crazy about this movie. I don't hate it like some people, but he's definitely like the shining spot in this movie for me. And yeah, overall great pick.
Scully.
Yeah. I think with with this movie, I've gone from like, oh, it's great to, oh, it's overrated, back to, oh, it's great. And I'm glad I'm back in the great camp because Tom Hardy's given a really, really good performance. I mean, like, of course, he's physically menacing within the way he addresses all these, all the different characters he interacts with is very intellectual, but it's also very, intimidating. So it's more intimidating when he's like up and close, like talking to you one-on-one, rather than when he's like addressing a stadium full of people. I mean, it's almost like the lower his voice goes, like the more and more menacing he is. Like the grander of a scale he tries to approach, the less menacing he is. And it's kind of like a neat little twist on that. The other Bane just groans like my uncle after his hip surgery. So there's really nothing of note to go off of there. But yeah, Hardy's great. I like the new grounded twist on it that Nolan gave him. So yeah, he kills it.
Okay. That is our list. So head on over to the Letterboxd page, give that like, and then also you can see all the movies that we talked about tonight. We're going to close it out by talking about our movie of the month, Rope, 1948's Rope. Who got a chance to watch this? Or who's already talked about it? Payson and Boatman, you guys talked about it. Okay. I have not talked about it yet, so I'll start off. I watched this last week. Really liked it. I've been on a Hitchcock run lately, watching a ton of his movies, and this one was really interesting. I didn't know until we talked about it on the show that it was kind of like in the style of like a one take type thing. I really didn't know anything about it. I know you like too, Bucky. And I found the story really interesting. The way the movie just opens with like a murder, and then you're kind of just like on the heels of like these guys the whole time. I found really interesting. I thought Stewart was great. Although I understood the way that it ended and why it ended the way that it did. I kind of wanted a little bit more. Like I would have liked to have seen like what happens next from where it ended, but I got why they ended it where they did. But help me out, Boatman. What's the name of the actor who plays like the main like killer guy?
John Dahl, or are you talking about the one who's like confident, or are you talking about the one who's kind of like
the confident?
Okay, yeah, that's John Dahl.
He was great. I think he's the best. He was the best part of the movie to me. I thought he was really charming, and the fact that he was just like so confident about this, like, no, we're gonna get away with like the best murder ever, and it's gonna be in front of all these people. Was super cool. So I really liked the movie. I give it 4 out of 5. And it would probably go up on rewatch. It's a really short movie, so it lends itself to be rewatched easily. So, Brandon, did you get a chance to watch this?
I did. I watched it last night.
What'd you think?
It's been on my list for a long time, so I'm glad I came on just to finally watch this. I've been slowly making my way. Every time I watch a Hitchcock movie, I love them. So like I just need to like bite the bullet and go through it. But they're nice, kind of spacing them out. I love this movie. I liked how in the opening credits it does say based off of the play, so it kind of like sets a tone like, oh, it's based off of a play, and then it really plays like a stage play of just like I love these one room movies and lets the actors really just kind of flourish. And there's not much like, I mean, it's still shot beautifully, but it's like an actor's movie, kind of like a 12 Angry Men, where it just lets the actors do their job. And I thought it was great. Love the concept of these guys just trying to get away with the perfect murder and like rub it in people's faces. I was taken a little bit out of it because I think this is the first time I've seen a movie with the character's name of Brandon. So like every time they said, "Oh, Brandon," I was just like, "Oh God!" It kind of took me out a little bit of it. I never heard people shout my name like that before. But that was the only like complaint I would have, if we call that a complaint. It just kind of took me out of it a little bit. But that's my fault for having this name, not a fault of the film. I gave it a 4.5. Yeah, pretty. I would have liked to see like let it breathe a little bit more and see like where it goes. But I do like how it's just kind of like they were so confident again was getting away with this, then they didn't get away with it. And they failed. So, like, I do like how it just kind of comes crashing down. So you don't really need to see where it goes from here, but it would have been cool.
Scully, or you said you gave it 4.5, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay, Scully.
Yeah, now Brandon knows how I felt watching all 3 Maze Runner films.
That's fair.
But yeah, this movie I've been told that I would really enjoy, because like I love Rear Window. I loved the first 2 acts of Vertigo. And this one, it was so different in how I think it was set up and structured. I kind of got really sucked in as to the whole like mystery behind, like, because like the whole film, like the question in my head was like, are they going to get away with it? Are they not? Are they going to let Jimmy Stewart in on the fact that they've sort of done it sort of in his name? Which, you know, again, like I think it also it serves as like a warning sign, like never meet your heroes sort of thing, because they sort of do this in memory of him, and then sort of at the end when he finds out, it's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have done that. But all the performances are great. Dahl, Granger, and the Stewart are all fantastic. Yeah, but the ending, I've gotten used to Hitchcock endings more than I've been used to. So the way it ended, I'm not surprised it ended the way it did. If it had ended in a more concrete way, I probably would have been a bit bothered by that, because that's not the Hitchcock that that I've seen that I know. But overall, super enjoyable. Not my favorite Hitchcock, but if you're going to talk about Hitchcock's best, I think this has to be in the conversation somewhat. So I gave it a 4.
Okay, great. All right. Next week is going to be the last week we talk about Rope. The show next week is Guilty Pleasures Volume 3 Horror Edition. We got me, Boatman, Bill, I want to say John Marr, and I want to say maybe Mike Hanley. I don't remember who the other person was. It might not have been Mike because Mike has been on a couple times, but now I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna look right now so that we know, and I can say it is Brian Michaels. Brian Michaels is the other person. So that'll be really fun next week to close out the month. Be on the lookout tomorrow. Either later tonight or tomorrow, right after this, Boatman and I'll chat and we'll get the poll for the November movie of the month out. That's going to be 2020 movies. So the 2020 decade movies. So be on the lookout for that poll and then a list of November topics if you want to be on the show. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Brandon for being on for the first time, and then Scully and Payson and Boatman as always. Guys, this was a great show. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening,